back to Prep Talk Podcast. I'm your host Vartika Bhandari, back with another amazing Tutela's alumni. Today we have with us Krish Bansal, who is back from Duke University after completing his freshman year in major computer science and statistics. Before we start digging into insights for Duke, let's welcome Krish on the podcast. Hi Krish, welcome to the podcast.
Hey Vartika, how you doing?
I'm doing good. So let's start with the first question. How was your freshman year at Duke?
Oh, it's been great. People say college is amazing, and I'd say that's an understatement to what I actually felt.
Amazing. That's good to know. So, why did you finalize Duke over other acceptances that you had?
Right. Out of all the acceptances I had colleges that were pretty good computer science schools too, but I ultimately decided on Duke because it had a good computer science program, but it was great in other areas as well, which I was interested in, such as economics and finance. So I ultimately decided on Duke because I found that if I'd find the most diverse set of people possible at Duke, or people that think differently from me. So I really wanted that sort of experience, which is why I finally settled on Duke.
All right. So, student resume is a very plays a very big role when it comes to your admissions in abroad. So, what aspects did you focus on while accumulating your student resume, including your college essay?
So I was told that well-rounded application would always work, and I sort of did try to mold my student resume to be well-rounded, but it ultimately became more pointed than well-rounded, where I sort of did more projects and spent most of my time doing stuff that I actually loved, which was computer science and sort of developing projects on that. And I think that really worked well for me, and my resume sort of glowed because of that itself.
All right. So you got acceptances from UK and US. What was that point that made you choose US over UK?
Right. As a lot of you might, or a lot of people might know, UK is a 3-year program, and you would have zero flexibility on what you would study in the UK if you decided to pursue an education there. But in the US, you have 4 years education where you have at least a year and a half to decide what you want to study and explore what you want, and you could easily change. So I didn't want to go in with the mindset that I only want to study computer science, and I sort of wanted that flexibility. So that's why I ultimately end up choosing the USA.
All right. Talking about the academic rigor of Duke, how is it? How are the professors? How are the classes over at Duke?
Well, at Duke, everyone that I'm sitting beside with was the valedictorian of their high school, or at least the top 5% of their high school. So every class is basically it's cutthroat competition if you want that A or A plus. So you have to really work hard for getting good grades. But the community and the people around you are extremely supportive, and the environment is sort of facilitates you in in helping you achieve that sort of the grade or the performance you exactly want from a class. So I think it sort of balances out in terms of rigor. That yes, you're gonna have to put hard work, but there is a support system there that helps you reach there very easily.
All right. And what about the professors? Are they like the ones that you see in movies, very strict and very uptight, or are they very flexible in terms of teaching the students? And do you have like a very solid batch of students which are like 100, 150 to 200, or is it like a small batch kind of thing that the teacher can focus on each student?
Right. So Duke comparatively has a very small, freshman, or each batch size is about 1,800 kids per year, which is comparatively small to your state schools or any other school for that matter. So as a result, our class sizes are extremely small. I've seen class sizes go from 3 to, I think the max I've seen is 400 or 40, not 400, sorry, 40 kids. So yeah, the professors are extremely nice. I wouldn't say lenient. They're actually quite tough on you in order to get your quality of work to be very high. But ultimately, it's a very rewarding experience to be in their class and working with the professors itself. So overall, I would say it's a great experience in terms of learning and creating relationships that will last throughout your college experience.
All right. So, what about the challenges that being an international student you might have faced in your first year at Duke? Could be cultural shock, or could be adapting to the new place. Could be anything. What were those for you?
Right. I think the biggest cultural shock for me was Greek life in American universities. Uh, it was something I've seen in movies. I quite didn't understand what Greek life was until my first semester passed, and I understood. Okay, those are it's sort of like the system of how people throw parties or socialize, and a majority of American colleges which have Greek life. I think that was the biggest cultural shock to me, or that's the biggest part of the college experience that I did not know before going into the USA.
Okay, that's it. Nothing else. Doing your own laundry or maybe cooking for yourself.
I sort of, I mean, if you're not expecting to do that before you go into college, I'm sorry, you're not. You shouldn't be going to college itself. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Did you also find it difficult to make friends with such a diverse sort of cultures over there? People from such diverse cultures.
I would say no, not really, because I believe almost all colleges have a thing called orientation week, or O week for short. And over there, in during that 1 week, you probably create friends that you'll hang out with for the rest of your college life. And I'm telling you, my friends, I cannot name like a it's it's weird, but I can't name you a single friend that I have that isn't like from like I can name you a friend from all the continents but Antarctica. That's how diverse it is. So yeah, it's pretty great, and I don't think anyone views it that you're from this country or from that. You're all of you just care that you're here at Duke or you're here at your college campus, and that's the experience you want to have.
Amazing. Amazing. So, how does Duke is different from the rest of the colleges from the USA? You must have had acceptances from the other colleges as well.
Right.
What made you choose Duke and how is it different?
I would say one thing Duke prides itself on is its academic rigor, but its combination with sports life as well. Many of you may already know that Duke is one of the best basketball colleges in the country, and we sort of mesh the college sport life with this academic life very well, where even if you want to enjoy all the sporting events and activities, etc., and see our team winning year after year, you can do that while maintaining a great GPA. So I don't think that's so I think that's one of the best selling points of Duke itself as compared to other universities.
Do you think it's the balance between academics and extracurriculars that Duke maintains for the student is?
Yeah, I would say that is the key selling point of Duke. I mean, you're 1,800 kids in a year. Obviously, you're going to meet kids from other years, but those 1,800, I guarantee you, about half of them by the end of your 4 years, you'll know them personally.
All right, all right. And what about the extracurriculars at Duke? And do you find them helpful in your personal growth journey?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's less about what club you're joining; it's more about what people you're going to meet at the club. So obviously, like for example, I'm in the Duke Investment Club, and yeah, sure, they teach me how to create a DCF chart or analysis or whatever. But I'm more interested, and the value is more in talking to the people who are teaching you, which are students themselves about to graduate or are in their junior year, and they give you advice on how to sort of advance your knowledge in this in whatever club you're joining professionally, and how to sort of build connections within that field and how to network. So I think that aspect is much more key than what they teach you theoretically.
All right, all right. So let's talk a little bit about the city of Durham, where Duke is located. What were your first impressions of the city, and how do you like exploring the city?
Right. Durham, I would say, is very peaceful and quiet. But sadly, there's not much to do off campus. You'd have to drive about at least an hour to go somewhere, one of the bigger cities like Raleigh in North Carolina, to actually be in a city like environment. But Durham is pretty isolated. yeah, sure, it has a couple of restaurants downtown, but that's pretty much it. You're going to be spending most of your time and enjoying your time on campus. It's something we all sort of revel in, that hey, our town is so bad, might as well we all just stay on campus and enjoy it as much as we can.
Alright. So what about some activities that are popular between the students? So you said there is nothing much to do in Durham. So what do you do inside of college that sort of keeps you engaged aside from your academics and extracurriculars?
There's a whole bunch of activities, I guess, but the main one is obviously waiting in line for or tenting for basketball games. There's a famous thing where for our rival school, University of North Carolina, UNC for short, you'd have to camp out for 2 months in a tent outside of our basketball stadium and essentially wait in line, and you'd have to and it would be during winter too, so it could go as close as 0 degrees Celsius, maybe sometimes. So I think that's probably where we have the most fun, where we throw tailgates and we just wait in line for our to see just to see our team dominate in college basketball.
All right, sounds very, very interesting. And okay, so what about the support that Duke provides in terms of international students getting oriented to the place? As you said, there is orientation, but then there is also a support that is required in the first year of the students settling in,
Right.
and about the mental health and also the career guidance. So as you said that US does not necessarily provide ask you to choose your major in the first year. You sort of explore, but then in terms of exploring you also have to narrow down to a final major,
Right.
and for that you might need some kind of counseling. So is that provided in Duke, or is it something that the students have to get through on their own?
Yeah, so I'll answer your first part of your question about international students. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of resources to help international students. If we're on, lists of where you could get your initial, like bedding, linen, etc., to get you sort of set up in your room itself and get you working. There's a lot of facilities on campus itself where you can obtain these sort of items for you to set yourself up and actually go to focus on your classes rather than trying to sort out the other stuff as well. So I'd say they're pretty accommodating for that. And this again, bigger than the administration at Duke, the student community is actually much more help, where they sort of help you, give you resources, give you guidance on how to settle in, etc. So I don't think any international student should have a huge issue settling in. And then in terms of career guidance, according to what college in Duke you're assigned to, which is Trinity or Pratt for undergraduates, you're assigned an advisor who will help you decide what courses you are going to take, understand what your interests are, suggest you some courses, maybe understand what you're trying to do with your college life or college experience. So they have these sort of resources to that you can reach out to, and from personal experience, these guys reach out to you a lot as well, so you don't feel left out or anything. But there are resources that will try and help you get set up not only in your personal life but professional life as well. And yes, there is like a mental health center for students where you can just go. You can even get a massage done for free, which is pretty cool. But yeah, there are like mental health therapists, etc., that are on campus available to you upon appointment. So yeah, I think whatever issues anyone might have moving in or settling in, I think Duke has managed them pretty well.
Okay, everything is covered for the students.
Yes.
That's good to know. So, talking about the internships at Duke while you're in college, that's pretty common, right? So, how is the entire internship circle at Duke while you're a freshman? Are you allowed to do internships in your freshman year, or do you have to wait for your sophomore year to start and then pursue?
Right. No, you can start off internships in your after completing your freshman year during the summer. So Duke offers a bunch of opportunities that allows you to stay on campus, and they give you some work. Like for example, there's a thing called plus programs called like Data Plus or Code Plus or Computer Science Plus. So for all the techies out there who wanna, do something tech oriented during the summer, there Duke offers that. And then otherwise, there are ways to get internships off campus too. Yes, it might be difficult to get it if you're an international student since you need to apply for some forms, etc. But it is manageable, and Duke's again, if you join the right clubs, students there and advisors there can sort of point you in the right direction where to find them and how to apply to them and how to eventually land the internship itself.
Alright, alright. And you completed your freshman year, right? So, what are the things that you look back in your freshman year that you grew on, and what was your personal growth in terms of the first year that you had at Duke?
Well, firstly, I came to the realization how much I should love my mom for doing my laundry all my time during high school. God, it can be a pain, but that's one personal growth I have. But more importantly, I think learning how to talk to people with different interests and different mindsets is particularly the biggest personal growth I've seen in myself. Because before in high school, I'm like, as I said, even when I was talking about my resume, I sort of just focused on what I liked doing. I didn't really care much for the other stuff, but you sort of like to grow and understand why talking to different people actually is more beneficial for you rather than talking to people with the same interests. Sure, that's always helpful, but with different interests will help you think differently and sort of, yeah, I know it might be cliche, but interdisciplinary thinking. But once you're in college, I think you'll start to, or at least really started to value that sort of term.
Alright. So the last question for you is, what advice do you have for the students who are currently going to pursue their college after the summer break?
Enjoy your summer break at least. Don't worry about it. Everything will be fine. If you Once you go to college, yeah, you might not plan some things, but that's part of the experience. And just try to have as much fun as they say. Yeah, education is an important part of it, but college is more about the college experience, as they say, rather than it's about you trying to manage your studies and your social life at this point. And yeah, as they say, you should be having as much fun as much and have as just as much as studying as well at the same time. So yeah, don't tunnel vision. That's always a bad idea at college. All right. So with this, we conclude our today's podcast. Thank you so much, Krish, for being here. Oh, thank you. I hope you liked this podcast. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and also give a 5-star on Spotify. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.